Hi guys, so welcome back to this channel. In this video, or in this class rather, I'll be teaching you guys product rule under differential calculus. And note that this is our second class in differential calculus. Okay, so if this is the first time come to this channel, if this is your first time, I will advise you to go and watch our very first class under differential calculus. Okay, so now let's start with this class, product rule. Okay, so how even to know a question that's coming out from product rule is very easy. The two variables, we found out that in product rule, know product, that is multiplication, right? Yes. Now you will know it easily in the sense that the two functions of what will be multiplying each other. So that's how you know that, oh, this one is coming out from product, this question is coming out from product rule. So it's very easy. Okay, so to solve questions under product rule is very easy. Use this is the formula we're going to use. Okay, so this is the formula we are going to use. Okay, so now let's start. It said find the derivative of each of the following. Let's start with question one. Question one, y is equals to bracket open s squared plus 1 bracket close bracket open again s cubed plus s plus 5. Okay, yes, plus s plus 5. So this, let's say they give you this question. The very first thing I'm going to do, you identify where the question is coming out from. The question is coming out from where? It's coming out from product rule, in the sense that the two functions are what? Multiplying each other. Okay, yes. So what I'm going to do next is very easy. Okay, since we have two functions here, it's very easy. The next thing we're going to do, follow me. We say, okay, we'll make this one. You can make this any of them any letter. Okay, you can make them, you can call this one A, you can call this one B. Okay, any letter. Okay, but let's use U. We call this very first one. We'll say let, okay, we just say, okay, let U be let U equals, okay, let's just do like this. This very first one, what? U, right? So U is equals to what? Bracket open s squared plus 1, right? Yes. Then we'll call this other function V. Okay, so V will be equals to what? Bracket open s cubed plus s plus 5. Okay, so yes. So U is equals to bracket open s squared plus 1, while V is equals to bracket open s cubed plus s plus 5. Bracket close. Okay, so this is the very first thing I'm going to do. Okay, so that is, so if you look at it, so if you break it down, find out y is equals to uv, right? U is multiplying v, right? So now let's continue. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is bring out the formula. Okay, so they said we should do what? Find the derivative of each of the following. They said we should find the derivative of x. I mean of find the derivative of y, right? Yes. So if we look at the derivative of this whole function, so this is the formula we are going to use. Remember, in our previous class, I told you guys that now if you look at this very well, that let me just bring out the formula here. Okay, so the formula is, now in this type of differentiation, if you look at it very well, we are what? We are differentiating these two functions, right? If you look at it, these two functions, u and v, they are multiplying each other, right? So we are differentiating these two functions, u and v, which are multiplying each other with respect to x. Okay, very, very important. Okay, so we are differentiating uv. Look at it, uv, they are what? They are multiplying each other. Okay, so we are differentiating uv. We are differentiating uv with respect to what? Respect to s, right? So d will not be something like d uv over ds, right? It means that we are differentiating u multiplying v with s over s, so yeah, with respect to x, right? Yes. So which is equals to please take note of this formula, is very, very important. So equals to, we bring the very first thing to bring out u, then dv over ds, differentiate v with respect to s, then plus, next thing we are going to do, bring out v, then we'll differentiate u. It's very easy, du over ds. So that's just it. So we can flip it. We can say v du over ds, then plus what? U dv over ds. So it's the same thing. Okay, so they are the same thing. So that is just it. It's very easy. Finish. It's very easy. Okay, yes. Now let's continue. We already know what is u, right? We already know that u is this is very easy. We already know that u is what? Bracket open s squared plus 1, right? We already know that v is what? V is in bracket open S cube plus S plus 5. What about the V over the S? Then what about the U over the S? It's very easy, okay? So let's look at the U over the S. Let's look at the V over the S. This we already gotten, we know U, we know V. What about the V over the S? We don't know. What about the U over the S? We don't know. So let's look for it. So the V, so this is what I'm going to do. You look for them first, then do everything together, get our answer. So the V over the S is what? Now this one means that we are differentiating V with respect to what? X. Now what is V? V is what? V is it means that we are differentiating V with respect to S, right? So if we differentiate V using power rule, right? I told you guys power rule earlier. So let's differentiate V with respect to S. How are we going to differentiate V with respect to S? How are we going to differentiate this? Very easy. Remember, V is what? V is S cube plus S plus 5. So if we want to differentiate, it's very easy. Multiply this is the variable, right? We multiply the variable by the power, subtract 1 from the power, right? Yes, so that's like this. 3 times x, right? This is a variable, so we multiply the variable by the power, which is 3. Then we'll do what? We subtract 1 from the power, right? Yes, then plus x. S standing alone is sitting as what? S raised to power 1, right? It means that S raised to power 1, right? Yeah, so the power here is what? Is 1. So what according to power rule, to look at the derivative, you multiply the exactly what we did here. Multiply the variable by what? The power. Then we'll subtract 1 from the power. So we multiply the variable by the power. This variable multiplied by the power, then we'll subtract 1 from the power, right? Then plus. Now this is a constant. How is it a constant? Because right, does not carry a variable, does not carry s. So the derivative I'm coming. So that's okay. So the derivative of a constant is what? Is 0, right? That is it that if we differentiation of v with respect to x is what is okay. Let's simplify it further. Okay, let's simplify it further. 3 times s will give us 3x, right? Then 3 minus 1 is what? Is 2. Then plus 1 times s will give us s. 1 minus 1 is 0, right? Let's forget about, okay, then 0. So 0 is to end. Let's just finish 0. Okay, 0 is nothing. Now s raised power, when it values any 0 raised power 0 give you is what? Is 1, right? Yes. So let's say that dv over ds is what? Is 3s squared plus 1. So it's very easy. What about d over ds? It's very easy. The same thing. d over ds. We differentiate u with respect to s. Now what is u? We all know that u is what? U is equals to what? S squared plus 1, right? So if you differentiate u with respect to s, using this power rule, right? So this is power rule. So what I'm going to do, we multiply the variable by the power, right? So 2 times x, then we subtract 1 from the power, right? Then plus, and the derivative of to differentiate this is a constant, right? It does not carry s, so it's 0, right? So if we differentiate this one now, it give us 0. So let's continue. 2 times s give us 2s. 2 minus 1 is 1. So therefore the u over ds is what? Is 2x, right? So the u over ds is what? Is 2x. So that is just it. We have so this is the formula, right? So to solve question, we are not done yet. To solve question under product rule, you just need to know u, know v. You get u and v from the question directly. Then the v over the s, you get just the way we did do it. D over the s, just the way we do it. Okay. So we know u, we know v, we know the v over the s, we know du over ds, right? Yes. Now let's impute these values into the formula. So let's continue. Let's continue over here. Okay. So we are going to impute the values inside. Okay. Let's continue. S is what? S is what? U is what? We start. Let me use this part. Okay, let me use this part. Okay. So let's continue now. U is what? U is okay. Let's continue. D. Okay, let's continue. Differentiating UV with respect to S, right? Is equals to now U is what? U is S squared plus 1, right? Then what about the V over the S? The V over the S is what? Is 3s cubed, 3s squared plus 1, right? So 3s squared plus 1, right? Then plus v is what? V is what? Okay, I'm coming. Let me create small space. Okay, so d. Okay, I'm coming. By the s, then is equals to. Okay, u is what? U is s squared plus 1. Then the v over the s is s cube plus s plus 5, right? Then plus v is what? V is what am I doing? Okay, oh, I made a mistake. Okay, now let's continue. Now u is what? U is s squared plus 1, right? Then the v over ds is what? Is 3s squared plus 1. Okay, so 3s squared plus 1 bracket close, right? Then plus v. What is v? This is v. V is what? V is s cube plus s plus 5, right? Then what about the u over the s? The u over the s is what? Is 2x, right? Yes. So we have successfully impute each of the value into the formula, right? Yes. So what I'm going to do next, we simplify. So that's just it, okay? So that's what we're going to do. You just simplify further. Okay, so s squared times 3s squared will give us 3s raised to power 4, right? Yes, so that is, we simplify further. S squared times 3s squared will give us 3s raised to power 4. Then s squared times 1 will give us plus s squared, right? Yes. Then 1 times 3s squared will give us plus 3s squared, right? Yes. Then 1 times 1 will give us 1, right? Yes. Then plus, now let's do this. 2s times 3s squared, 3s cube will give us we give us 2s times 3 2x times s cube will give us 2x raised to power 4, right? Yes, 2x to the power 4, right? Yes. Then plus 2s times x will give us 2s squared, right? Then plus 2s times 5 will give us 10s, right? Yes. So what I'm going to do, we add the ones that are common to each other, right? Look at it. 3s raised to power 4, 2s raised to power 4, they are common, right? Right? Then which other thing are common? S square, 3s square, 2s square, they are common, right? Yes, so we bring them together. So let's continue. So bring, okay, so let's just do it. Okay, let's just do it. So do something like this. Okay. So 3s raised to power 4 plus 2s raised to power 4, right? So we bring those ones that are common towards each other, right? Yes. Which others are common? S square plus 3s square plus what? 2s square, right? So plus s square plus 3s square plus 2s square, right? Right? Yes. So we left with 10s and what? And 1. So let's just add it. So this one for add them, we have what? We have 5s raised to power 4, right? We add them, we have 5s raised to power 4 plus, now s square plus 3s square plus 6 plus 2s square give us 6s square, right? So if we add this one, give us 6. Okay. Remember 3 times 2, 3 plus 2 is 5. Then plus 1 is what? 6. So 6s square. Okay. Then plus what? Plus 10s plus 1. So this is our answer. Okay. So this is our answer. That's just it. Okay. So it's very easy. All right. So this is our answer. So that is what, we cannot simplify it further. So this is our answer. So that's how you solve questions on that product rule. Okay. So now let's do the second question. Okay. So let's do the second question. Now in the second question, they said it's still almost like the first question. But they say, okay, we want to do, look, this question is coming out from what? It's product rule, because when if you look at two functions, they are doing what? They are multiplying each other, right? So this, we use the formula. Okay, once we differentiate uv over ds, right, equals to u dv over ds, then plus v, then du over what? Ds, right? So what I'm going to do first, the very first one I'm going to do is very easy. Okay, what is our u? Look at the question. U is the first one, right? So we make this one u, this one is u, this one is what? This one is v. Okay, so our u is what? Our u is what? 3 plus 2x. Don't worry about our v. V is what? V is 1 minus 2s, right? 1 minus, 1 minus s square, right? 1 minus s square, right? Yes. Then what about dv over ds? It's very easy. So we differentiate this. And see, v is what? V is what? 1 minus s square, right? So if we differentiate v, with respect to s, what will be our answer? So remember, this is power rule, right? So v is equals to 1 minus s squared. Now, if you differentiate, if you differentiate 1 is 0, right? 0. Then minus, to differentiate is very easy. This is the variable, right? So we'll multiply the variable by what? The power. Then subtract 1 from the power. So 2s, then subtract 1 from the power. 2 minus 1, right? So there will be, since 0 is 0, right? 0 is nothing. So minus 2s, right? 2 minus 1 is what? Is 1. So therefore, I'm coming. So therefore, dv over the s is what? Is minus 2x. Then just by one to give it that same thing. Okay, so dv over the s is what? Is minus 2s. Okay, so we are getting our dv over the s. What about du over the s now? Du over the s, the same thing we do. Now, if you differentiate u with respect to s, so u is what? 3 plus 2s, right? So if you differentiate u with respect to s, differentiation of differentiation of a constant is what? 0, right? How do you know a constant? A constant does not take a variable. Then plus, now 2s, s is just, we all know is just power 1 here. Remember, when a value when s is standing alone, it means that s is just power 1. So s is just power 1 here. So what are we going to do? According to s, 1 is the power, right? 1 is the power, right? So according to power rule, we'll multiply the variable by the power, then we'll subtract 1 from the power, right? So let me do it here. I'm coming. So okay. 2 times 1. The 1 is the power. We multiply the variable, which is s. Then we'll subtract 1 from what? From the power, right? So that's like this. 2 times 1 give us 2. 2 times s give us s. 1 minus 1 give us 0, right? So n to the power 0 is what? Is 1. Therefore, s is 1. So 2 times 1 will give us 2. Therefore, du over ds is what? Is 2. Okay, so du over ds is 2. Okay? Yes. So du over ds is 2. So what I'm going to do next? Okay, we impute all these values into the formula. Let's just see it. So our u is what? Our u is 3. Okay, let's do it. Okay. Our u is what? Our u is okay, it's 3 plus 2x, right? Then dv over ds is what? Is minus 2, right? Minus 2s, right? Then plus v is what? V is 1 minus s squared, right? Then what about du over ds? What about du over ds? Du over ds is what? Is 2, right? So it's easy. So what I'm going to do next? This one, they multiply each other. So minus 2s times 3 will give us minus 6x, right? Then plus minus 2s times 4 will give us minus 4s squared, right? Yes. So plus and minus give us what? To give us minus 4s squared, right? Yes. Then plus 2 times 1 give us 2, minus then 2 times s squared give us 2s squared, right? Give us 2s squared, right? Bracket close. So plus and minus, plus times minus will give us minus, right? So that's also like this. Then plus 2 minus 2s squared. Okay? Yes. So we have something like this. What I'm going to do next? We simplify everything, okay? So if you look at it, these two guys are common, right? We take them towards each other. Then yes, why this one stand alone? This one stand alone. So let's do it. Okay, so let me do it over here. So it's very easy. So let me just continue straight forward. Okay, so we take these guys to one side, right? So the uv divided over ds is equals to, so we have to do something like this: minus 4s squared, right? Then this one has minus 2s squared. Then what next? Okay, minus 6s, right? Then plus 2, right? So be very careful with the sign, okay? 6 minus 6s, right? Minus 4s squared. 2 has carry plus, 6s carries minus, 4s squared carry minus, 2s squared carry minus, right? So something like this. Now if we do this one further, minus 4s squared minus 2s squared give us minus 6s squared, right? Yes, something like this. Just like this. Minus 4 minus 2 give us a minus 6, right? Yes. So minus 6s squared, then then minus 6s, then plus 2. Okay, that is just it. So this is the answer. Okay, we can only add things that are common. Right, these two, they are common. We can subtract things that are common. Okay, why am I not going to subtract this from this? Is because why they are not common. This one is 6s. This is why this one is 6s squared. So we cannot subtract them further. So this is our answer. So that is just it. So the important thing you need to know under product rule is that just know the formula. Once you know the formula, it's very easy for you. Next, identify your v, then identify your u, identify your v, then and differentiate your v with respect to x, differentiate u with respect to x. So that is just it. Okay, so please, if this is your first time coming to this channel, please subscribe as well as share it to your friends. Okay, now in our next class I will teach you guys quotient rule and chain rule.